right, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. We're probably going to have some people, joining the webinar later, but I figure let's just go ahead and get started because we got a really exciting one to show you today. So right now, my name is Ben Pearson. I'm one of the tech support guys over here at IDX Broker, and I usually am the one who gives the support walkthrough sessions. For today, we're just going to go here. Let me just show you the schedule that we have today. We're excited to announce that we've got a new dashboard for when you're logged into the back end of the IDX Broker system. It's probably going to be pushed out sometime this week. We plan on it going live today, but considering that there may not, if there's any snags along the way, it may be pushed out. But we're expecting there to be a new dashboard this week. Everything is still there. We've basically just given it a little bit of a facelift, so I'm going to, dive into that right now. We've got it on a staging environment, so I'm going to show you what that looks like, but it should look the same on the live environment as well. In terms of that, I'm also going to show you our knowledge base is going to have the most up-to-date information. There's some slight changes to the structure, so I'll show you where to go in order to get the most up-to-date information there. And from there, we're going to dive into, this is the spring cleaning webinar, so we're basically just going to go into some of the things we have in place for capturing leads and managing your leads, and also customizing your search settings. And this is with the new dashboard in mind. So I'm going to show you how to change the global lead registration, also some of the tricks you can use for capturing leads, creating saved searches and properties for your leads as well. And then when it comes to using your search pages, I'm also going to show you some of the things we have in place for managing your custom city lists, as well as some of the things you can customize in your MLS settings. So we're going to be going a little quick because there's a lot to cover for sure, but I'm going to leave a little bit of time at the end for any remaining questions that you may have there. So with that, let's dive in. So I'm just going to get out of here, and then I'm just going to make sure that that's minimized. And then this is our new dashboard. So right from here, you'll notice that, we basically changed it up so that, we try to deliver an intuitive, comfortable, kind of modern user experience. So the overall structure of the page, like the interior, is pretty much unchanged. We've left that the same for now. And everything from the top level navigation has now moved over to the left-hand side. So we basically have this vertical bar. We've also changed up the iconography and then kind of tried to have uniform styling across the IDX Broker page. So, we've got these icons over on the side. And then we've also got collapsible navigation and expanding menus. So, like your home expands out like that. You also have leads section, listings, and whatnot. So this is just the broad overview. It's sort of giving it a facelift and tried to make it uniform across, our entire backend system there. So most of the navigation items remained the same. They're in the same area as they were before, but below are going to be the most notable relocations of name changes. So a lot of people check the message center just to see any incoming or outgoing messages in regards to your account. That has its own space now. It's just under the messages section. So if you expand that out, you'll see that this is where we have the message center and then the notifications as well. So if you click on message center, it's going to have any incoming or outgoing messages for your account. Also, in terms of the preferences for your IDX Broker account, that's going to be under a new area. That's no longer on the list. It's just going to be under the design section, and then under the settings section. You would just click on that, and then global is going to be your global preferences. Locations is the city, county, postal code lists, and then the MLS settings is just MLS. So we basically bunched that all together in the design section. If you're looking for where to go to set your featured IDs, that's just going to be under account and then featured IDs. So account's going to have a lot more information there. So if you need to set your featured ID, that's where that would be located. Also under the account section, while I've got that pulled up, we've also got the details section. This is in the old area. So that what it was called before was account info. So we've just called it details for short. And then any account notes is just going to be under the account activity section. So anything in regards to your account, like notifications that come up and whatnot. So yeah, that's where that's going to be located. As I showed you before, designs is now called design. And then if you're looking for anything to put on your website, we've just got that in its own section there. So going to design and then website. is where you're going to have any of the things like that was basically under the design section as well. So pages is now page templates. You've got your widgets, wrappers, custom CSS. So it's basically everything that was in the design section is now located under the website area. We've also got an area for if you have a multi-user account where you can go to manage any users. That's just going to be under the account section. And then users has its own place. So if you go there, you can expand that out. Then this is where you can go to customize your agents, offices, and exports and whatnot. So that's basically just broad strokes, some of the main changes that we've made to the overall structure of your dashboard, basically. Like Bao, he's got the chat here. We're going to be recording this webinar, so you can always refer back to this later. And we've also got a knowledge base article that we have. Let me just pull that up for you. That's going to have like the most up-to-date information on basically the new enhanced middleware interface. And we've got screenshots of where, a lot of the things that we're covering today. This is just a quick, reference that you can use while we go through this change, just in case you were stuck in trying to find, where things were located. Believe me, like I'm used to the old system, so it took me a little bit of time to get used to this for sure. But our knowledge base is going to have the most up-to-date information, and we're going to make sure that that's updated with this new structure in mind. So that would be the resource I'd recommend checking out if you're used to the old system and really wanted to see, the most up-to-date info that way. Our videos might take a little bit longer to update. As you can imagine, those probably take a while to produce and everything. But we wanted to make sure that our knowledge base was definitely up to date with these new navigation changes in mind. We'll have this recorded, so you can always refer to that later. So that's just mainly it for our main navigation. Let me make sure that we dive into some of the things we have in place, managing leads, and then some of the things you can do for capturing leads as well. If you wanted to do some things in regards to managing leads, it has its own section now. So you would just go to leads, and if you go to manage, this is where any of your leads are going to be stored. So, instead of having the drop-down menu like we had on the previous navigation, it basically has its own section now. So if you go to leads and then manage, this is where all of them would go. And if you wanted to play around with your overall registration and the contact routing and whatnot, those are going to have their own sections, much like our previous system had too. So just going to lead registration allows you to set the overall lead settings. Initially, it's going to have this slider bar, so you can kind of set your overall strategy that way. But I prefer showing people the advanced features. Using the slider bar is kind of easy, so you can just set it and forget it to set it to the more balanced, conservative, or aggressive approach. But with the advanced settings, you can get very specific with the information that you're getting from your leads. I'm usually the one who also does the walkthrough sessions. And one of the things I like to explore is customizing the sign-up form. This is basically the information you're asking your leads to provide. And you can get very specific with the information you're asking them. So if you go over here to add more fields from this drop-down menu, you can choose from a number of different options we've already got built out. But using the other option is probably the best one if you're looking for very specific information. I've recommended people use this for getting information such as, are you a buyer? Are you a seller? Things like that. You can really get it to just what you need there. But yeah, with this sign up form, that allows you to, customize this to what you need. I also like to show people the global registration rules. So if you go there, this allows you to get very specific and granular with how you're setting up, how you're capturing leads. So for example, what I've done on my staging site here is I've set it so that whenever somebody looks at a certain number of results pages, there would be this notification that appears on the screen, and it's going to request that they sign up. So as you can see here, I've checked this box to request registration. It's going to reoccur every 7 page views. That's what I have set up there. And I've set up a custom message, basically asking them if they want to see more. I've done that because let me show you something here. So if we go to website page templates, and then I'm just going to pull up a particular search page, and then I'm just going to do a search, and then I'll explain what I've done here real quick. All right, and if I just do a search, so what I've done here, it looks like a pretty basic search page, but as you can see, I've hidden the address of these boxes. So for these listings that have come up, the address is all hidden. And so, people are able to do searches, but they won't know the address of these properties. Basically what I've done is I've made it so that, people can do the search and then get these listings and whatnot. But I've gone into the backend system and applied a little bit of CSS in order to, hide certain things until people have signed up as a lead. So if we just go to design, website, and then custom CSS, what I've done is I've applied a little bit of CSS here, and then, there's a knowledge base article that we have that kind of explains this in more detail as well. And I'll be sure that that's shared too. But basically, there's this selector where I've said that, if they're not logged in as a lead, basically just hide these fields. I've set these to display none. So basically, what I've done is, if I sign in as a lead and we go back to that page, and if I sign in as the lead, and then I just refresh this search page, or this details page actually, it's going to have the address come through then. And so, basically what I've done is, in the backend system, I've asked them to sign up where it's like, hey, hope you're liking the search page. If you want to get more information and get the specific details of the address, please sign up as a lead, and then we can show you those details. So that's one strategy that you can implement, and it's just an example of something that you can do using your IDX broker system. And I mean, leads can, as you probably know, they can get into their account and then, like add properties, add searches, customize that however they would like. But you also have the ability to go into the backend system and do that as well. So, for example, if, I got the dashboard pulled up, and then I can check out any saved searches or properties that they have. You can always come to this page and then add any properties or searches to their account. So if we come here, we'll just see, like, if I want to add a particular saved property or saved search, I would just, this has me logged into the lead information. Then I could just click add, edit, save searches. And then if there aren't any that are already within the account, you can just click here to add a new one, or you can just click add save search. It's going to be the same thing either way. And then from here, you can choose any of the search pages that you want to use. For example, like since I have a platinum level account, there's the Polygon search that's available, but you can also use the advanced search. If you're a Lite or platinum level user, that's, the one to use, because that's the one that's going to come back with the MLS's particular fields, property types, statuses, and whatnot. So you can, maybe this lead is interested in looking for properties in a particular neighborhood or subdivision. If you choose advanced search and move on to the next step, the second step is just selecting your criteria. So you're defining the parameters of your search and then just making sure that, you've got that here. And then, yep, we've got these fields pulled up. Maybe I just wanted to come back with residential properties in the city of Eugene. They're looking for listings in the 500,000 to the 1.5 million range. Maybe just active properties. That's probably the best way to do it. So you can make this as specific or as broad as you want for the lead, depending on how many times they want to get notified of new listings that way. So yep, you can set this up here. But yeah, so with the advanced search page, using this is the best way to go for sure, because it allows you to get very specific with the information that you're getting back from your MLS. So if we move on to the next step here, we're just going to give this search a name. This is how it's going to be saved within their lead account. So I'll just call this, I don't know, IDX test. And then you can leave this box checked if you want the lead to receive property updates from the system whenever a new listing enters that search. So there'd be a daily email that goes out based on the most up-to-date information we're getting from the MLS. And then if we leave this box checked, this lead would receive a property update email that way. So we'll just save those changes. And yeah, so that's how you can, and then you can always come back here and change it up. So yeah, definitely making sure that you're familiar with how to save searches and properties and, add those to your lead accounts is going to be really helpful for when you start capturing leads, and then want to make sure that you're making it as easy and seamless as an experience for anyone that's signed up using your IDX broker service. Yeah, so that's those are just some of the tricks that we have. If you're interested in trying to capture more leads that way, there's a lot of other things that you can kind of unpack and explore. That CSS trick was something that I discovered. It feels like I'm always discovering something new. Going through the knowledge base articles with this new dashboard in mind, dug up some old articles that way. Yeah, so managing leads is a good way to make sure that that's one of the things on your checklist to do. Something else you can do is you can customize how people use your searches using your IDX broker service. So let me show you some things here. If we go to design and then website, and then page templates. This is where any of your search pages are going to be located here. When you first activate your account, these are going to be the standard ones that we already have filled out. And if you have a platinum level account, you can create new search pages. A lot of people like to use those for, like particular neighborhood search pages or things like that. So if you have platinum, you could just create new, and then you can choose what template you want to use for your search pages. Just use the mobile first template. That's the one I usually recommend people do. I'll just call this one IDX test. I'll I'll submit that. All right, yeah, and then you see that we've made that search page. It's a IDX test, and then from here, what I like to show people is that you can customize specific city lists that people are allowed to search through, as well as the particular MLS settings. Customizing the MLS settings is a platinum level feature, but I'll make sure that we go into that in more detail in just a bit. But for any of your search pages, what you can do is you can customize the specific fields that come through. And the way to do that would be by just coming over here to the right-hand side and then clicking on this fields link in the customize section. So if you go there, you would choose the property type that you want to use. I'll just choose residential and then click view settings. And then from there, we'll just wait for those fields to load. There we go. Now it's had a chance to load. And with these, it's going to populate with any of the fields that we've got coming through for this particular search page. And what a lot of people do is they'll like restrict certain fields. You'll basically, maybe there's like too many options that are here and you're afraid that people get analysis paralysis and, be overwhelmed with these fields. For any of these, you can just hit the trash can icon to remove fields. Maybe you're not interested in having all these ones display. So you can always remove any of the fields that are on there. You can, if there's not a field that's coming through here that you want to display down below, you can come over here to the right-hand side, and then these are going to be fields that are provided by your MLS feed. So if you want to make a very specific search page that, I don't know why, but maybe you'd want to have condo elevator as an option. Maybe that's something that's very important to you. You could click the little plus icon, and then that's going to add it to the list. And then from here, you can click and then drag and drop it, customize your search page and the orientation of where you have it. Something else that you can do that I like to show people is you can have these advanced fields be preset within the search pages. And the way that you can do that is by just coming up here, then clicking on this icon to set default or hidden values. So if you hover over it, keeps disappearing on me. But if you just click on that, you can set up these values. So if you have it set to default, this is what's going to come through. It looks like this one doesn't have any values. The default selector would have it already set up in the search page so that when people come there, they'd be able to, that would be what was set, but they can always remove that going forward. If you wanted to apply and don't want to give people the option to remove that, you would just make sure that it's set to hidden. So that's always going to apply to any search that's being done on that particular page. So if we do that, we just hit default and then apply, and then that's a good way that you can really customize your search pages. A couple other things, if you want to, those are the main items for customizing these advanced fields. But something else that you can do is you can customize the custom cities, the city list that people are using when using your search pages. So let me make sure that I show you where that's at. So, in summary, we went over the advanced fields in the customize section. That's how you can customize what fields are coming through for that search page. If you're wanting to customize the cities that are coming through, you would just go to settings, and then you would go to locations. It's going to show you the default lists that are being used for any of your search pages. So right now I've got this particular MLS that's signed up here. And these are the ones that are being used by default. So, but maybe you don't want to give people the option to search for properties like all across your MLS. You're only interested in having people search for properties in like a handful of cities. So what you can do is you can create these custom lists just by coming up here to the upper right and then click create lists. And then from there, you would just choose the list that you want to use. Let's say, for example, I want to create a custom city list. I'll just do that. And then in the second step here, it's going to have me create this custom list. And what I can do is, you can add them in line by line. If there's only going to be like 5 cities, you can just start typing them in. And then, if I do Eugene, I'll just click Eugene, Oregon, and then add that to the list. Maybe I want Corvallis. Just add that in there too. But you get the idea. You can add them in line by line. Or you can also just bulk add them from the list and then remove them that way if you wanted to just remove certain listings and some certain cities that way. But maybe I only wanted to create a search that only uses these 2 cities. So I could just click finalize and continue. The third step is just creating that custom list, and then I'm just going to give it a name. I'll just call this one test, and we'll just save that new list up. And so we'll get this green notification that lets us know it's been saved. And then right here, you can choose to just be done, or you can select which search pages that you want that list to apply to. So if I click on that, it's going to take me to the 4th step. And then from here, if I wanted to apply to all of my search pages, I would just make sure that that box is checked, or I can choose specific pages to apply that list to. So maybe I only wanted that list to apply to, the IDX test page. So I'll just save the changes and then manage my existing lists. And then you can always come back here and then, customize it later. If you needed to add or remove cities, you can just come back to this page and then edit it going forward. So if we go to that particular search page, for example, just going to website and then page templates. And if we tried to search for any cities, we'll just go to IDX test here. If I tried to type in anything other than Eugene, so like, Eugene, if I try to type in Salem, it's not going to come back with anything. So Salem, Oregon is not one of the cities that will come through. So it's only going to look for properties in the city of Eugene and then Corvallis. And if we ever needed to check up and make sure that this is set for this particular search page, you can always go to Preferences and then Edit. So for this particular search page, I would just click Edit in the Preferences column here. And then you would just go to the Search Setup tab. This is also a good place to come in and customize any of these particular fields. And then down below in the List Options section, you can see that we've got the test, custom city list that's being applied to this search page. While we're here, these are going to be the basic fields. This is another way that you can customize your search pages too. These are going to be the basic fields that are coming through for this particular search page. And then much like you can do for the advanced fields, you can set defaults. So maybe you wanted to already have active filled out in the status box. You just make sure that that's applied. And then, you can customize these fields down to whatever you need them to be. And again, another thing you can do is you can hide particular fields. So like if you only want people to look for residential properties and you don't want them to have the option to look for any of these other property types, you can just click residential and then click hide. So that's always going to apply to any search that people do using this particular search page. They'd be able to change any of these fields, but it's always looking for residential properties. Yeah, and so once you've got that all set up, you just make sure that you hit Save Changes down below. Okay, so that's for customizing, particular fields on your search pages. And something else that you can do is you can customize, the MLS fields as well. So if you go to Design, Settings, and then MLS. Again, this is a platinum level feature, but you have the ability to customize the names and the property types and which ones people are actually able to search through. So a common question that we get on the support side is, hey, I want to give people the option to look for active properties and I don't want them to look for any other property type. What you can do, if you have a platinum level account, you can go to the property type section here. And then as you can see, it lists out any of the property types that we have for the MLS. And then if you wanted to hide particular statuses, you would just expand this menu out in the core field section. And then from here, you'll see that it also lists out any of the residential sub-property types as well as the statuses. So if I don't want to give people the option to look for any of these other property types, I would just deselect them. And then we'll just wait for that to apply. You don't have to hit Save Changes in this part. It's just going to automatically apply. So this makes it so that anyone looking for a residential property type is only going to come back with active properties. It's not going to have any of these other property statuses come through. Same thing for sub-property types. If you want to restrict some of these options, maybe you don't want a floating home to be there, you could just deselect that and then those properties won't come through. Before, like, we called it MLS settings and not very many people wanted to go in and mess around with that, but it's perfectly fine. You're not going to go into the MLS data and ruin their side of things. It's basically how we interpret that data. And then, there's a lot of things you can customize with that. Some other things you can do, you can choose whether certain fields are visible or not. You can select whether it's the default field and everything. And then you can also rename certain fields. So for core fields, maybe you don't want it to display address. These are going to have the core fields that we have set up for any of your searches. And if you don't want address full to be there, if you just want to call it address, for example, this is, how we're getting it from the MLS. You can come over here to custom display, and then you can just have it be address. And then once you do that, so for that field, it's going to have just address displaying there. So, a lot of these fields, maybe people don't want it to have IDX city name. That sounds kind of weird. Maybe I just want to call it city. So, you can customize these core fields as well as the advanced fields as well. These are going to be the fields that your MLS is providing too. So, if you really wanted to rename some of these fields or customize it just the way that you need, this is a really good resource to have at your disposal if you're a platinum level user. Yeah, those are some of the main items that we have on our checklist. Definitely customizing how people are able to do searches using your IDX broker service is one of the main ways that you can direct traffic to, the properties that you want to show your leads basically. But yeah, I mean, those are the main items that I have for you today in terms of like, getting in there, dusting it off with the, we've got the new dashboard. So I definitely recommend going in and kind of playing around with that a bit just to kind of get yourself refamiliarized with where we've got things located and everything. But yeah, definitely managing leads, how you capture leads, and then customizing your search pages are the big three main points that we recommend people, get in there and update before the big season kicks in. But yeah, I mean, that's mainly what I got for you here today. So let me just check and make sure if you guys have any questions. I know that, we've got the new dashboard. So if there's particular areas you're interested in exploring, that we definitely get in there and help you out as much as we can. So anybody have any questions? Oh, Dimitri, there's not really a slide deck that's going to be here, but we are going to be recording this webinar, and there will be a link that will go out. So like it's basically going to be on our YouTube channel, and you can always refer to that going forward. So we did record this, and it's going to be posted on our YouTube channel, so you can always refer to this later as well. Lori, to answer your question about the templates, I know that we did recently put out a new template. Let me just go into the dashboard here again, and it's one of our platinum templates, but we're working on updating those for sure. I think there's another designs template that we have in the works, but if we go to design, website, and then page templates, one of our results page templates that we have for platinum users is the home atlas template. It's the newest one we've got updated, and it's kind of like our version of a Zillow template. It's got the map over on one side, and then over on the right it's going to have the little cell containers. So this is for if somebody's looking at it on a desktop. It also has a mobile responsive view as well. So that's the newest one that we've got available. You can always go in there, and I mean, if you needed to apply custom font changes, we do have a section where you can apply some custom CSS just under design, website, then custom CSS. So that might be another thing to consider as well. Oh, Douglas, to answer your question, if you are looking for just another onboarding session about, getting the basics of IDX Broker, we do have those that will go up. It's basically every Tuesday through Friday at 10 o'clock in the morning Pacific Standard Time. And there is an area where you can go to sign up for one of those. It's just going to be on our knowledge base here. Let me just make sure that if you go to support.idxbroker.com, and then if you just type in the word schedule, that should do it. You can just go to schedule a training, and then this will have a calendar of any of the walkthrough sessions that we have available. So you can choose whatever date works best for you. So if you ever needed to catch that, that'd be the best place to go. Oh, yeah, to answer some of your guys' questions, we don't have the new dashboard live yet. At the beginning of the webinar, I mentioned that we're currently working on it. Probably the earliest is going to be at the end of the day today, but that's barring if there aren't any snags that we had along the way. So you may see these changes today. It might be tomorrow or the next day, but I know that our dev team is working on getting those switches switched over. And like I said before, the knowledge base is going to be the resource that we have that has the most up-to-date information with this new navigation in mind. So I'll make sure that that gets updated. I'm actually the guy that's kind of in charge of that. So I will make sure that once these changes go live, that we'll have the knowledge base updated. It'll probably take a while for those videos to get updated. As you can imagine, that takes a little bit longer. But we do have a article that will have the new enhanced middleware interface. This is a good one for if you're just running into a wall and then you're just like, I just want to know where the pages are. So you can just refer to this going forward, and then this will have a lot of those shortcuts there. So yeah, we definitely recommend. It's not in effect yet. We've just got it on a staging environment, but those changes should go up at the earliest by the end of today. Oh yeah, for sure, Shara. This trick is good. Knowing the CSS changes is something that you can do for sure. But I mean, we've also got a number of great developer partners. Shara Hammett being one of them for sure. YourSiteNeedsMe.com. She's one of our developer partners, an awesome person to work with for sure. And if you're interested in getting in contact with any of our developers, you can go to idxbroker.com, and then if you just go to our homepage, you can just go up to help and then find a developer. And then from there, like Chara's, YourSiteNeedsMe.com. So you can just click on that. And then that's going to take you straight to their page where you can, see what they work with and everything. You can always reach out to them going forward. But yeah, we've got a number of great developer partners that have more custom solutions that way. But yeah. That they do all kinds of that next custom CSS work, optimizing mobile responsiveness and whatnot. So yeah, definitely recommend checking out what some of our developers have to offer for sure. Sandy, to answer your question, in terms of an overall template to use, I mean, the mobile first is the one that's the one I recommend if you just have a Lite level account. That's, going to be standard across, and any of these mobile first templates are going to be on accounts that have Lite or Platinum. But with the Home Atlas template, if you have a Platinum level account, I definitely recommend using that. Let me show you here. So if I just go back into my account here, too many tabs open here. So if we just, for example, it's one of our results templates. So if we just do a search, it's going to take you here. Based on my wrapper, oh, something else you want to make sure. This is my staging site. So if you want the map to show up, you just want to make sure that you have that enabled within the account. It's just going to be under design, settings, and then global. And then, it's going to have any of these tabs that we have. And then you just go to the map tab, and then you just want to make sure that the results page maps is set to yes. So this is going to turn on the map for any of your search pages, or for your results pages, I should say. So if we set that, and then we'll just refresh this page here. And it might look a little strange just because I have it pulled up in my wrapper. This looks better if it's a full width view. So let me just do something here. But this is sort of the idea. Let me show you what this would look like. I'm just going to take the wrapper away here real quick. But yeah, so this is the idea with the Home Atlas template. It's got the map over here on the left-hand side, and then over here on the right is these cell containers. If you click on one of these properties, it'll highlight, as you can see down there in the lower right-hand corner, it highlights that particular property. And if I click on this property, for instance, it's gonna take me straight there. I want to look at this property, I can just see exactly what it was. So I mean, this is definitely the newest one that we have, and it's the one I oftentimes recommend people use if they're looking for that. And if you switch it to a mobile responsive view, let me just do something off screen here. If we switch it to a mobile view, you can see that, you can scroll down, and then, it's got the map here, but then you can also click show results. And then this is, going to have those cell containers in a mobile responsive view. So people can swipe through it, they can click the heart, and then that's going to pull up the, it's going to save that property. Since I'm already signed in as a lead, that's saved it as a, saved property essentially. But if I wasn't signed in as a lead, that would then lead to, the place where people can sign up as a lead. So that's, I definitely recommend using this one, but it is a platinum level feature. Did anybody else have any other questions? I just want to make sure that we get that all covered. I'll just look through the chat here real quick. Well, I mean, like I said before, we're going to record this, so this is probably going to be really helpful for, just if you're so used to the old dashboard, we'll have that recording up so you can always refer to that later. You're always more than welcome to reach out to us too. I mean, like I said before, the support knowledge base is going to be the best resource. It'll have the most up-to-date information with these new changes in mind. But you can always give us a call or, send an email our way. Our phone number is 1-800-421-9668. That's our line, and then we're open Monday through Friday from 6 in the morning to 5 in the afternoon Pacific Standard Time. So if you need to reach out to one of us on the support side, that'd be the best window to do it. You can also send us an email at help@idxbroker.com. That if you prefer doing it that way, that'd be the good way to reach out to us. If you're already in the account as well, we do also have a live chat option that's available. You would just go down here to the lower right hand corner and then click on this chat bubble, and then it's going to have an area where you can kind of describe the issue you're running into, and then that'll put you on with one of our live support team members that's in the live chat. We'll see what account you're logged in as, we'll see what page you're looking at. So I mean, that's the way I'd probably do it, but however you'd like to reach out to us for support, just let us know. Definitely with this new dashboard coming out, and then hopefully today, but maybe the next couple of days, there's probably going to be an area that we like if you just keep running into a wall, we're happy to help you navigate this new dashboard. Well, thank you for joining us today. There's a link for if you ever needed to sign up for any future webinars, you could just go to idxbroker.com/idx_webinar if you needed to check any new ones that we have coming up. But like I said before, this is going to be recorded, so if you ever needed to refer to this later, that's always going to be available for you. Thank you for joining us today. I hope this was informative and hope to hear from you soon. Thank you so much.